People, welcome to the second attempt of the fourth episode of Ashley Haden's Political Breakdown. We've already been speaking for an hour, but that was all lost, so now we're sick of each other. It is a show where we go through the week's news, stuff that we've missed. It is what it is, you know, the world's dying, so let's have some fucking fun with it. With me this week I have...
Ria Lina, hi.
And...
Faye Daniels, hello.
Fantastic, right. Let's start with getting Brexit out of the way.
Oh, it's like Brexit Groundhog Day again.
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
We've already done this, and it didn't go well first time.
It didn't?
Do you not think?
Mate, no, only because it's Brexit, mate. It's killing me. I hate it. I hate every fucking part of it. Every single issue of it. I hate the fucking left. I hate the right. I think everyone should fuck off. But apart from that, how
I don't think anyone disagrees with you on that.
No.
I don't think anybody's loving it right now, going woohoo.
Can't wait for 6 more months.
Yeah.
The government have taken 10 days off now because they're entitled to it. You know, they've worked so poorly for so long that they deserve a little bit of a holiday. We've got an extension till the
Halloween.
Yes.
Till Halloween.
Ooh.
Did they do that on purpose?
I don't know. What are you going to dress as for Brexit Halloween? I'm going to go as a general sense of disappointment.
I'm going to go with someone who doesn't like dressing up because I've got a personality.
Fuck
I'm going to
you.
go as I'm going to go as a European. Just knock on doors in Westminster and go, I'm still here.
Nice.
And
hello.
So a European that's also Dracula.
just an Austrian, you know, I've come back. I can't do his accent. I don't have the muscles for the accent. But
I feel like this take is going to have a kind of looser feel.
Yeah.
for all the serious stuff, if you can lip read, we'll put the first video up.
Yeah. Now, how do we see it? Are we going to get a second referendum?
I don't know if there's... I think 6 months is enough time for Corbyn and May to work something out. They're going to work out a weak-ass deal, and it's going to go through, and then we're going to live in some kind of limbo that's even worse than... I think Norway asked for the situation that they're in. They went, y'all, we're happy with this. We're going to end up in a situation that nobody's happy with. But the whole point of all of this, and this is what irritates me the most, is that the Brits, and I say Brits, I really mean the English, love to live in times of hardship. Like, they still celebrate how well they did austerity during World War II. Do you know what I mean? We're still just there going, we sang some songs and we shared our butter. And you're going, that is not something to return to.
That's also not what happened. You speak to anyone who was alive during that time, not a single one of them goes, you know what, I'll go back.
Right,
None of them.
Exactly, but we've glorified it.
Oh, yeah.
We've glorified that time period, and the English love to be underdogs. They love to celebrate underdogs, and they're going, oh, well, we'll all just band together. We'll get through it together. It's going, we don't have to, though.
That's very true. We do thrive from struggle and hardship.
I don't think we do. I think that we like to say that we do, which is a very different thing. We have this idea that wartime is the best time, which is why you go over to Syria and everyone's pissing themselves laughing because they're having such a fucking wonderful time. This is the problem. The problem with our country, our sense of national pride is all on the back of fake history. None of it's real. We didn't single-handedly win World War II. If anyone did more for World War II, it was fucking Russia. They were the ones who ended up destroying Hitler when he decided to fucking go in there.
Well, exhausting his resources.
Yeah, you don't go in the winter into Russia. He should have learnt that. But this is the thing.
He did. He learnt it the first time he did it. You got to give him credit for that.
He
did it. It didn't work. Lesson learned.
I know, but
he did not do it again.
You're quite right. He shot himself, didn't he? Nicest thing he could have done.
Got anything else on Brexit?
Yeah, fuck it. It's pointless. You got the Brexit party. What's the fucking point of that? You know, are you going to vote in the European elections?
Of course. I'm going to vote for someone who's pro-European.
That's the idea. I think
that's the one thing we have. Like, rather than focus on a second referendum, we are now going to have to partake. Well, I think it's likely that we are going to partake in the European elections because I don't think a deal is going to be sorted between now and next month. Therefore, This is our opportunity if you believe in staying, to vote for MEPs that also believe in the process, because we've been sending over people that don't like the process and don't want to be there, but are happy to take the money, and we need to now show we need to show everybody that we're engaged. Okay, sorry we're a bit late to the party, but now we're engaged.
Yeah, I mean, the fact of the matter is, just before the referendum and all of that, we were on the top table in Europe. We had the most amount to say. We had the absolute best deal. We had a fantastic deal, absolutely brilliant deal.
And given that we weren't even the first ones in, we joined after the first 5 or 6 countries. You know, we came in the 70s and it started in the 60s. It was incredible where we got to.
Yeah. And that, all the good faith that we've done, the fact that everything that we wanted happened. Single market, that was us. We wanted the single market. Human rights, that was us. We pushed that forward. That was everything. Every single thing that we dislike about it was us. We pushed it all forward. We said we want this. We want more integration. We want freedom of movement. We want freedom of movement. But we're not going to take the rules that you've said where you can stop it for the first fucking 4 years or whatever it was. We want people in straight away to undercut everything. It was all us. Everything was us. And now we're going to be at the fucking bottom. It's going to be us and fucking...
Well, we're not at the bottom. We're at the side. We're at the side being told what we can and can't buy and what we can and can't do. And goodness knows what we're doing to poor Ireland through all of this.
Yeah. And
where they're going to end up.
Well, we've got... I mean, there was 75 rules that we didn't want to take that we were forced to take. 75 out of the... I think over 4,000 laws. 75 of them we didn't want to take that we had to. And they included more workers' rights. They were... everything that you would think we should vote for, they were the ones that we were forced to take because we didn't want them. Better stuff for working on the climate. All of this stuff. Everything good. Everything good, we were like, no, we don't want that. And we were forced to take it. And this is what we're complaining about. We're complaining that Europe has worked together to try to make a slightly better world. Which is fucking the cheek of them. Absolute cheek of these foreign pricks trying to make the world better. I know they're corrupt
at the
as well.
expense of our wallets, and that's what upsets us.
But I mean, it's the same with the facts. EU migrants, they contributed 20 billion euros or pounds in. They make us money.
Yeah, they do jobs that we think we're too good for.
Yeah.
Agreed.
You should, and I worry that that's going to be the only way to truly argue for us to stay in Europe. Saying, look at the amount of money we can make. Like that's it. So again,
that's sad, but yeah.
Even if it never happens, even if between now and October we decide, you know what, this ain't gonna work, I think we'll just stay. We've lost so many businesses. Like Amsterdam is booming in terms of all of the businesses that have gone, we'll just pop over there. They all speak like Amsterdam now has English language comedy every night of the week because of how many people speak English versus Dutch in that city. We've lost business. We've lost all of our manufacturing, plants that are going. And then what's going to be left to us is what's happened with Greece and Italy, is that China's going to come in and go, we can help. And then we're going to, next thing we know, we aren't going to be able to make comment on their human rights records because... We're
going to be making shoes.
Because they are... No, but because we are beholden to them for our infrastructure.
Yeah, weird. I mean, with China, they are... It's strange how we'd never talk about the likes of China or Russia when we've got in this... all the free speech and the people like Corbyn and Stop the War, the Canary, all of these fucking supposed liberal shit-stained arseholes, fucking hashtag wankers, all of them, go on about, America's awful, what we're doing is awful, everything. So, you're 100% right, you're 100% right. But at the same time, you've got fucking China, who have detained 1 million Muslims in detention centres. They're calling them, it's like a boarding school. That's what China have said. China have said that it's like a boarding school, which is not, I mean... Even the boarding schools in this country are not that fucking bad. This is torture, this is detaining, this is re-education camps. But where is everyone going on about fucking, well, this is dreadful, but also busy going on about the fact that America, quite rightly, America's fucking awful. America is awful, but we're all awful. We have to make sure that we look at everything and not just fucking, just the West is bad, the West, the West, the West. Everything's West. It's a sphere, you prick. Why are we ignoring all of this? Why do we ignore Russia? Why do we ignore China? Why do we only focus on things? Why do we ignore certain parts of the Middle East, but always go after Saudi Arabia?
I don't know. Don't look at me. I'm thinking.
I don't think we are.
I'm 100% sure that we are. We go after Saudi Arabia, quite rightly. They're awful, but very few people ever talk about all the other atrocities that go on. I mean, well, you've got fucking Syria using chemical weapons on their own people.
We're doing exactly the same thing in terms of selective, selective judgment as we do with ourselves. I mean, we make more money out of selling weapons that kill children than anything else, than any of our other industries. And now with Brexit, we are even more reliant on our weapons industry. We're appalling. Look at our history as a colonial empire in terms of the horrendous things that we've done and the things that and the issues that have been left as a result of that. We're selective in what we... And yet here we are going, let's return to the good old days. Of what? Of where? Basically, what happened is that before we had an empire where all the atrocities were broad. Like Churchill was an appalling man to everyone around the empire. But because he helped in World War II, we're all like, oh, he's the most amazing Briton that we've ever had. No, he was an awful, awful human being who would happily have wiped out India and everyone who lived there if he had the choice. I mean, he ordered genocide in Kenya, ethnic cleansing in Kenya. I mean, he was a horrendous man, but because it was away and it wasn't on our own soil, we could go, oh no, that wasn't us. Yeah, it was. That was Britain. That was the way Britain treated the rest of the world, and here we are wanting to return to that. What we're saying is we want to return to a time where they were all over there and we could mistreat them over there, because when we mistreat them like really close to home, it's really embarrassing.
We've got, and
in our face.
Windrush and everything from the modern slavery in this country. See how it's all going. We like to ignore, and the only time that anything actually changes is if it gets into the paper. That's one of the things that truly piss me off about this fucking
or
country.
Twitter.
Yeah, unless something gets picked up, like you'll always see a story of an EU migrant is being forced back to their country for no reason, where they're going to be killed. If that's picked up by the papers, then straight away, within a few hours, the Home Office will go, oh no, they get to stay. But we get rid of hundreds of people, unless it actually gets into the papers or gets onto Twitter or something like this, something's picked up by it, we ignore it.
Yeah.
But
how would we know? Yeah.
That is human nature. I don't think that you're going to change it by being upset about it.
I mean, I'm trying. It's not working yet. 8 years in.
Well, I think you're making headway. I think recording an episode with sound is a good start.
Yep.
I mean, the first 3 episodes went very well. The moment I get 2 women on, all of a sudden it all falls apart.
Well, I think that says more about you and your team that you decided to mute the women.
That is a worry.
We're not speaking about the undercurrent.
I'm going to get sacked from my own fucking podcast. Christ. Oh God. Right.
Genuinely can't remember what we covered. It was only an hour ago.
Well, this one I wanted to do. The government has announced potential new plans to hold teachers, NHS workers, and police officers accountable for failing to spot violent crime amongst young people.
That's fucking insane.
It is mental.
Isn't it just insane? Yeah. Well, that's a good way to get rid of teachers. Is to arrest them when they have... I mean, teachers are already responsible for noticing if there's any kind of abuse. Then that's physical abuse. Then we made emotional abuse also illegal. So now they also have to look for signs of emotional abuse. And we're talking, and it's one thing at primary school, but you get to secondary school where kids are just, beating themselves up because that's just the nature of being a hormonal teenager, and they're insecure and they don't know what's going on and they're trying to find their own way. I mean, just how much more do we want? I mean, and then couple this story with the fact that there are schools now hiring people specifically to change nappies because so many children are showing up at school at the age of 4 and they're not potty trained. And so, the fact that everyone, parents, the government, everyone's expecting teachers to be this, you want me to send my kid to school, well, you do it all.
Like the all-seeing eye at this point for teachers who are already underpaid, overworked, and now they have to fucking...
and undertrained sometimes.
But what you're doing there is the teachers are meant to be the people that you can turn to. And you're trying to create them into snitches where where children are not going to even have their teachers to be able to turn to. So they're going to potentially not even look for help from them.
Yeah, also, why are we making it so unappealing to do these jobs that we actually need? Like, so many people have pointless jobs. Like, I have a really semi-pointless job. Used to have a completely pointless job working in marketing, but so many people have those
to two comedians, by the way, just saying.
Well, I know, but like, why are we making it so unappealing to be a teacher? You don't have pointless jobs. It's entertainment. It's fine. But you know what I mean? Like, why are we making it even more scary to become a teacher? You're entertainment.
Exactly
I
that.
am not
You are, maybe not.
You're not entertainment.
No.
What are you then?
I'm just angry. Occasional punchline. I would. No one's ever described anything that I've done as entertainment.
Right. Well,
a sad
my
hour.
point remains. I don't see why we're making it.
No, we should. I mean, in Singapore, teachers are some of the highest paid individuals. In the Scandinavian systems that Gove went to study before he brought over his idea of what an academy system is. There are places where teachers. I don't want to get it wrong. It's either Sweden or Finland. I think it's Finland, where the teachers are essentially mini professors. And if you are a teacher, you are trusted to set your own curriculum. There isn't a national curriculum. They trust you as a professor in history or professor in mathematics to teach mathematics to the children that you're in, that are in your care. And even across the water, Ireland has one of the best education systems in the world. Consistently, the Republic of Ireland has always scored highly. I do not know why we are beating our state system into the ground, but I think that it comes again from this hierarchical two-tiered system of elitism, because if you're an elite and you get to send your kids to Eton or Westminster or wherever else, you are guaranteed that your children are going to get an education that sets them up for life. And that education might not be the best teachers, because as we know, you don't have to have teaching qualifications to teach in the private system in the UK, but you will get to meet all the other kids from all the other movers and shakers.
I mean, I would suggest that seeing the people that have come out of the likes of Eton, everything, I would say that their actual education system seems to be fucking dreadful. Because you've got people like Jacob Rees-Mogg and Boris Johnson, all of these people, and they're going, you lot know nothing, literally nothing, but you knew the right people.
Yeah, it's all about connections.
Have no conception of history, seemingly no knowledge of geography, they've got no knowledge of money, anything at all. All they do have is connections. And the ability to sound like an absolute twat.
And you have to remember that they've been emotionally abused from a very young age. If you look at how the elite raise their children, they make babies through connection. So it's not entirely clear, and maybe not now, but certainly for the last few generations, where people would get together out of connection. So it might be that the mother and the father have not made a love connection. So already you're making children with ulterior motives in mind. And then at the age of 4, 7, 11, you're sending them away to boarding school. So you're immediately depriving them of parental love and attention. You're sending them into a system where they need to conform with 30 other little kids, and they're all going to bed, in dorm rooms and the rest of it. I mean, that's a hugely emotionally stunting. So it's not surprising that they come out the other end and and they're using sexual expression in all of its weird and fetishy ways in order to feel something, because they've been, if you know 4-year-olds, if you have 4-year-olds, that is such a young age to suddenly rip them from you and go, and now you go to school away from me, and I'll see you maybe on the weekends, Christmas, holidays, maybe the nanny will pick you up, maybe the au pair. How many nannies does Jacob Rees-Mogg have? Like 1 per kid, 6 or something?
Yeah, I've always it's such a strange world that we live in the hierarchy and everything else. The idea that we have a class system is mental, because that was put in by the rich to say what you are, and we've accepted it. You know, we'd lick it up like it's a fucking cum shot on a porn. We'd let it go, oh my God, it's amazing. Oh, I'm working class. I couldn't be prouder. Really? They told you what you are. They're telling you what you are, and you're fucking accepting it every pissing second of the day.
Yeah, and it boggles my mind because the UK has a class system, and the US does sort of have a class system as well. They do have a rich elite, but
yes.
They have a mindset where anyone can get there. Which is becoming less and less true. The American dream is becoming more and more of a joke. But yeah, Britain has this system whereby people actually like to stay in their lane, and they don't like it when other people step out of their lane. Brits are very good at going, excuse me, know your place. And it's exactly what we're doing to Meghan Markle right now. Here's an American who's come over who works a little bit differently. You know, they're saying, oh, she's emailing her staff at 5 a.m. in the morning. It's appalling. I'm going, don't answer your emails at 5 a.m. If you don't want to be emailed at 5 a.m., turn your phone off. But why are you complaining about it? When I get an email in the middle of the night, if I'm asleep, I don't answer it till I'm awake, and I decide when I answer my emails. And, you know, when I get that you're on her staff, but that's how she works. Just the things that the way that she's being treated is very much indicative of how the Brits batter people into line.
Yeah, but it's also how we see royalty as well. Like they're keeping their pregnancy private. Now, first off, I think that any mention of any royal baby should automatically be stopped. I don't give a fuck what these incestuous fucking wankers do. You know, I prefer to get rid of them.
I'm sorry, I'm pretty sure Harry and Meghan are not related.
Oh, there's gonna be fucking something there, you know. There always is these dodgy shits. But
that's why her dad never shows up anywhere, because he's actually the missing Lord Lucan. Is that what it is?
That's it. It's actually fucking James Hewitt. So.
Yeah, she looks just like James Hewitt. I'm sorry. I know that there's this joke that James Hewitt is Harry's dad, but he looks so much like Charles.
Oh no, certainly, 100%.
He looks so much like
Charles. I don't think that.
Do you think?
Yes, there's pictures of Charles when he was younger, and you look at them both and go, you know what, both of yous rich cunts. You know.
Yeah.
None of you have had a fucking problem
Henry
in your life.
VIII, Elizabeth I, ginger as fuck. Like, Harry's not a surprise. Okay, it's in the family.
And I mean, with royals as a whole, because they say, oh, they're bringing so much money via tourism. Like, get rid of them.
Yeah.
Just get rid of them, because people are still going to turn up.
The only reason people are coming now. The only reason people are coming to Britain is to see castles.
Yeah, but if you go, but we can still have the castles. Just get rid of them.
They're just celebrities like anyone else. You're saying get rid of celebrity. They are celebrity.
I would. I would personally get rid of celebrity.
That life, the life that they're born into, is a horrendous life. Why she picked it, I don't know. Like, she really must honestly love Harry to have given up her career as a self-made woman who, you know, she made such huge grounds for those of us that are ethnically ambiguous in acting, because she's not black, she's not white, you know, what is she made such forays in that field, and she had her fashion blog and everything else, and she was a, what do you call it on Instagram, a influencer.
Oh,
she gave all of that up to live in a very, very narrow box that is determined by old-fashioned British thinking. You have to give her. She's given up a lot. She has sacrificed a lot, and now that they're having a kid, she's tied to that forever now. Yeah, she has given up so much. We have to help her.
The royals are held on more of a pedestal in the US than they are here, so she may only be now realizing the kind of pressures that comes with.
Oh yeah, because
he's cute. I'm sorry, Harry's cute.
Yeah.
Everyone was arguing because they're keeping their pregnancy private, and they go, "Well, this is unfair. We deserve to know." Like, no, you fucking don't. You absolute sponge.
It's creepy. How much people care about, like, celebrity babies.
I mean, it's creepy for me how much people care about babies as a whole. Like, I understand that the parent loves their child, but they're going, oh, what is it? Is it a boy or a girl? Oh, you've got them in this colour. That's not the right colour. Stop trying to fucking genderise a baby. It's a baby, for fuck's sake. You're not trying to fuck it. Get over it. You know, just get over. It's a baby. Once it grows up, then you can start asking questions.
That's where you went? That's where you went. Out of all your complaints about babies, it's stop trying to fuck babies. That was okay.
I'll be honest.
That's on you, man.
I think that's
on you.
Stop trying to fuck babies. I'll go with that. Yeah.
I'm going to say this, and it's going to sound weird, but as a woman, when we look at babies, we don't want to fuck them. We want to eat them. Trust me, we want to eat them. The fatter the baby. You just want to bury your face in them.
It's the whole conception.
Wrist fat.
Yeah.
It's a whole conception of this colour and the chucking such a gender. I'm gonna. You're a bald baby. I'm gonna put a bow on you to make sure that everyone knows that you're a girl. Like, it's a fucking baby, mate. You know that's what it is. It's just get over it.
But it works both ways. Actually, you can win and you can lose. I have a little girl, and when she was a baby, she was massive. Like she, that kind of thing. And she didn't suit girly clothing because she was such a tomboy. And she, but it could have backfired on me. She could have come back to me years later and gone, Mom, why are there no nice pictures of me as a baby? Why now that I identify as a girly girl, are there no pictures of me as a child with a little pink bow in my hair? It can work both ways. I think piercing ears is more of a travesty than a bow in the hair.
Yeah,
that's weird. That's very weird to do. Don't do that. Don't.
That should be illegal, shouldn't it? That's like
it's cultural
child abuse.
Nah, it's cultural. You can't overstep because some cultures do it straight away.
Oh, okay.
Do they?
Yeah. It's within days of birth. You're supposed to
pierce your child's ears. Weird people. Fucking parents and children and people. They're all weird, aren't they?
It's weird how gender reveal things are that's made its way into. Like that, it wasn't a thing, was it? Like 5 years ago, and now I see lots of people that I know who have babies and they have big balloons and they pop them and it's pink or blue.
Having had 3 kids, I don't understand sharing it with other people. But then I've not had children in a community. My husband and I live on our own, and our family both live abroad, so we were just doing it by ourselves. But so I don't have this huge circle of friends to sort of go, I'm having a baby and this is what it is. But it's the same foreign concept to me as even having a large wedding, though. I still don't understand the female concept of wanting a wedding and the big thing. In fact, I hate it. For someone who goes on stage, the introvert part of me is going, the idea of having everyone watch me say I love my husband in front of everyone else, are like, no, excuse me, no, I don't want you to. Why would I want everyone else to watch me? I don't even like to have sex if other people know that we're doing it. I'm like, no, we can't do it. There's people next door. I'm like,
it's fairly normal.
Yeah.
This is a different vibe to the original one.
Right, yeah. Back to news.
The news.
On babies then. Yes. Alabama has made abortion completely illegal. Even in the cases of rape and incest, it's only legal if the mother's life is in danger.
It is literally, and it really isn't for me to say. It's for you to rant about. But being a woman must be fucking shitty. It can't be that enjoyable, can it? Because it seems like the entire world want to tell you exactly how you should deal with your own fucking bodies. It's very strange.
You just have to tell them to fuck off, though. It is still my choice and my decision. There's a lot of control I do have. Like, that's a terrible story. Don't get me wrong. I think that's a horrendous story.
It's like Northern Ireland.
That how backwards the U.S. is going at the moment. But there's a lot of benefits to being a woman. I think there's a lot of power to being a woman. It's just that we aren't teaching enough young women how to wield it. You have to remember that every misogynist on the planet came out of a vagina. Every single one. So we have control from the very beginning of birth to shape men and women's minds.
Well, then it turns out it's all your fault. Stop making misogynists. Finally, we got to the bottom of it. It's the women's fault.
Well, I'm just saying that we just need to help each other grab that power and use it, because we've, yeah. Oh, but that is how my mother raised me. She said it is our fault. Like, we are, she honestly believes in taking responsibility for, because if you think about it, when you play the blame game, what are you doing? You're going, oh, this is that person's fault. This is that person's fault. As soon as you put the blame elsewhere, you lose all control and power to do anything about it. So the more that you take on responsibility for something, the more power you have to do something about it.
But that's pure nurture over nature, though. Like, what if you give birth to a little psychopath? they're fucked. Like, what could, like, then people will blame you for it.
I'll probably go into comedy or something.
Well, no, but I mean, this is where
that's what scares me about
survival of
having
the
kids.
fittest.
What if you just have a little psychopath? Then you.
So you're
it.
with Alabama, but we should just extend abortion to like till they're 5 or 6, and you can tell what they're like.
I'm definitely not with that.
No, okay, no. No, I mean, well, that's that happens. You give range. I'm just saying that we need to recognize that we have the power, and then we need to collectively join together and use that power.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
What did we cover last time?
It's really not for me to say anything at that point,
Do you want to do the B news again?
No, I don't want to do the B news. The B news was an awful news. I'm quite squeamish when it comes to bees coming out of an eye.
Well, the eyes were fine.
Bavaria bee news. That was good news.
Yes.
I think that should be brought up. That Bavaria is going to change its agricultural layout of all the land that it has in order to promote insect growth.
Yes, that's fantastic. That is good
Bavaria.
news.
I'm biased. My dad's Bavarian.
Yeah.
So yeah, we rock.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
No, it's good. I mean, we need to do something to save the planet. I mean, there's part of me that doesn't think that we should. I think the world should get rid of us. I'm what you'd call a genocidal liberal. I believe in human rights, and I think we should all have our freedoms. But at the same time, let's kill everyone. Because it is fucking dreadful.
Well,
I'm so bored of it all.
In terms of saving the planet, then, on a related thing, because you were talking about the black hole.
Yes, the black hole.
There's a black hole. We have a picture of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's black and holy.
Look like a donut.
Well, big
space donut.
Well, the bit in the middle is the black hole, right? Mm-hmm. Not the donut.
No, the bit around it is, I don't know.
The light emitting from it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, there's a black hole. Have you ever thought about, because, we know that the world's resources are finite, right? The planet is a planet. It only has so much copper, so much iron, so much of this. We keep building stuff because Israel has just failed its moon landing.
Yeah.
And we keep sending stuff into space. India last week shot a satellite missile into space and blew up a satellite, which is now, as NASA's gone, brilliant. Now who's cleaning that up? Because now that's spread across the atmosphere. We're going to run out of resource. Our space race is going to take all of these, because imagine how much metal and all those elements that we use to create something that we then shoot into space and send it beyond Pluto, or we're sending it to the moon and it's crash landing. We're not getting it back again. We're not bringing it back down. We're not recycling it. We're genuinely going to run out.
Like I think that looking at space and everything else, I think that's very good because it can teach us and learn more. The idea of people like Elon Musk and everything going, we're going to go and go to Mars and populate Mars. I think that's a height of arrogance. Like, let's not destroy one planet and then jump over to another that we can fucking destroy. Like, we are literally a cancer in the universe.
Yeah.
We are there we want to spread out and fucking attack everything that we possibly can with severe greed. Like, the black hole thing is immense. We can learn so much from that. Learning and trying to grow as a generation, as people, brilliant, wonderful. Look at us pushing forward. That is the difference between us and animals to an extent. The fact that we constantly look to be better as a whole, but actually moving and trying to repopulate other places just seems like a fucking arrogant, disgusting thing for me.
Speaking of animals,
100
whales just got freed in eastern Russia that were originally kidnapped and kept in cages in order to sell to the Chinese.
How do you keep a whale in a cage?
Well, that's what's horrendous. They were keeping them
cages.
They were keeping them in a, I assume, in a large water enclosure, but then caged within it so that they couldn't. They had like 7 orcas, and then a bunch of
dolphins,
beluga whales, and they've managed to free them.
Oh, that's
good. Great.
They are dolphins.
That's a
killer
nice
dolphins.
Yeah,
but they have managed to save them. But the fact that is obviously ongoing. And then, speaking of animals as well, in India they opened they found 26 tons of pangolin scales. Pangolins are like little anteater type things, and just 26 tons of just the scale. They are extremely extinct. Yeah, they're on the extremely endangered list. 26 tons of scales going through.
You'll remember that from
China.
episode 3 when Dan Cady brought that up. See, it's all connected.
It's horrendous.
Callback.
Call back to a different episode from different people. No, I agree. We have a fascination with killing animals. I don't know what it is. I'm fine for food, but just for like. I
was going to say, do you eat meat?
Oh yeah, I love it. Love meat. Absolutely love meat. And I think the idea of veganism is pointless.
You don't eat meat.
No.
Aren't you fucking fantastic, you tedium?
Do you know what it is? I'm struggling.
Wow.
I'm struggling with the meat question because
lot more aggressive.
grains don't agree with me. So if I don't have grains in my diet, then it really reduces it. And I'm just not home enough to eat the amount of lentils. I just have
You do eat a lot of lentils as a vegetarian.
Right, and I just need to be closer to a toilet for that.
Sure.
So, I tried veganism in January, and just 3 days in, I was like, nah, without a colostomy bag, this ain't happening.
And it's difficult as well as a comedian going around the country. You very rarely get a train station that will have anything that's half decent of a vegan option.
Well, this is not news, but I'm starting to just not eat after I leave the house.
No,
just 5:30.
I mean, it is news, just not necessarily what the
it is. Well, it is. It's my news. It was going to go in my newsletter, but I'll share it with you now. In the past couple of weeks, I've started not eating after 5:36ish. Whenever I leave the house, go to work.
It's meant to be very good for you. Fasting for that amount of time.
Yeah,
it'll be very healthy for you.
I did, and then I slept in this morning, so it was a good 18 hours of no food. I was like,
good for you.
Didn't show on the scales, but Hey.
Right. Want to go about the DCMS Department
white
of
paper?
Yes.
The white paper. So, why do they have to be white? Why do they have to call it a white paper?
I mean, there's different colour papers for different things.
Okay, what's a green paper?
I know there's different colours, but I don't know. No.
Okay. Is white paper the most serious?
From my understanding, which is limited on the actual terms used, but I understand that the white paper is here's the ideas that before it actually goes through.
So no solutions, just ideas.
Well, I mean, yeah. So
It sounds very white.
yes.
Does.
Yeah, so it's the Digital Culture, Media and Sports Department has published a white paper proposing a range of methods for addressing online harms. So this is including appointing an independent regulator for social media companies. Measures include a statutory duty of care, increased requirements to detect and block child abuse and terroristic materials, and other stuff, transparency reports, legal requirement for companies to respond to complaints, this type of stuff. But the issue comes with whether or not regulating these companies takes away from freedom of expression, because the government have said that they are not looking to take freedom of expressions. But if you've got someone who is choosing, no matter if it's Facebook, no matter if it's the government, if you've got someone who is choosing what can and cannot go on to the internet, surely that is in itself...
Why is the government allowed to decide what can and cannot be said in public, but they cannot decide what can and can't be said on the internet? Why are you distinguishing between those two public forums?
It's only owing to the fact, and it's difficult when it comes to what they can and cannot say in public as well, because inciting hate and inciting violence and all of this, I'm a firm believer should be made illegal.
Which I believe it is. Yeah.
I'm full on that. I think that has absolutely nothing to do with freedom of speech, and anyone who claims that it does is a fucking idiot.
So why not apply those same regulations to the internet?
Because you may get to a point where you're not using as much nuance, because the internet is free for everything goes. So what you'll have the thing, will you get to it where more people just use the dark web, and they'll do all of them bollocks there.
I mean, yeah, but we already have a problem with the dark web, don't we? The dark web already exists as an issue.
So you think that government?
I'm saying that the idea that the government should step up a little and have a little more responsibility instead of this is going back to expecting teachers to spot tendencies towards violence or knife crime in students, is that it's replacing the blame. For once, the government's going, actually, no, we're going to step up and take responsibility for what we believe to be inappropriate behavior on the internet. And I think that is a step in the right direction, because right now, who's doing it? Facebook is doing it. Facebook has a department where they decide what they're going to have on their publishing forum, and they're taking down now a lot of the posts that they're taking down, like, you know, live stream terror attacks. Quite right, take that down and take it down quickly.
Yes.
Sometimes some of us in our circle of friends are getting targeted for jokes that somebody else has deemed to be inappropriate. Or I work a lot in cabaret. There are a lot of burlesquers that are often being targeted for having too much flesh showing in a photo. And so, you know, there's a balance between those two things. But the fact that the government has said, yeah, let's step up and regulate along, and I would expect them to regulate along similar guidelines to all the other behaviors that they currently regulate, such as, you know, public speech. They do it already on YouTube. This is what happened to Count Dankula, which people agree or disagree with, but they utilized the laws that said you may not incite hate speech, you may not incite, you may not use language against a particular group, in a public forum. So if you film a video in your living room and you keep it in your living room, then that is fine. The moment that you publish it on a public forum where other people can see it, it changes the nature of what you're saying.
Yeah, but we already have laws on that.
Exactly. So we're just applying them to the internet.
Well, the problem comes with the internet. It's so big, it's so vast, can you regulate the internet anyway? I mean, that seems like an impossible task as it is.
So we just shouldn't bother?
Are people. Well, there are people who are against it, including people like a lot of free speech people are against it. Which, I mean, I'm always wary when anyone talks about free speech. Always, free thinking and all of this stuff, because I don't trust a single fucking one of them. I don't think that they understand free speech. I don't think they understand human rights. I think they just want to be able to be racist and have no one fucking say anything against them. Because that's all freedom of speech is. Freedom of speech is very much just it's the government. All human rights is you against a government. It's not you. It's not person versus person. Every human right is you against a government. Freedom of speech doesn't mean that you can get your own TV show. It doesn't mean that you get your own YouTube show. It doesn't mean anything like that. I've got no answer to this really, because I don't know if it's going to be legal under EU law as it is for what they're planning. I do not trust the government. I don't trust the government to be involved in anything. I don't trust them when they're regulating the press. I don't think that they should be involved in regulating the press. I do not think that the government should be involved in regulating anything, really. I don't. Well, anything that comes close to freedoms, I do not trust the government to do it.
And also, it makes me think that they will. This is slightly of my conspiracy hat on, but like it leans into monitoring. Like, does it mean they're going to have more rights over monitoring people's behaviour on the internet in order to police it?
Well, that's it. I mean,
well, hang on. What makes you think that the internet is something that you have a right to? This is not a right. The internet is just like any other product, something that you have to pay for. You pay for your Wi-Fi connection. You pay for, Facebook through advertisement. None of this is a right. This isn't the same as the right to Congress. Free speech is important, but the internet is a paid-for service.
It was created for everyone. Tim Berners-Lee didn't create it for a money-making thing. He didn't create the World Wide Web.
And Albert Einstein didn't split an atom to create bombs, but things have evolved away from what they were originally created for.
I agree with that, and I'm a firm believer that anyone who thinks that they're kicked off of Facebook or kicked off of Twitter is something about their human right. It's not. They're companies.
Yeah.
Absolutely, 100%. The internet as a whole, as a thing, I do not think that has the same rules as
Okay.
The social media companies that are on there.
Yeah, but you're distinguishing between a theoretical concept and a reality, because the fact is the theoretical concept of the internet, yes, it should be free. We should all be able to use it as we wish. But in reality, you cannot access it without going through a paid company. And so right now, when the choice is between Facebook deciding what's okay to post and the government, I actually would lean towards the government only because I'm assuming, and this is under the assumption that the government has our collective interests at heart in terms of stopping things like terrorism and child pornography and abuse and the rest of it. In that case, yes, because from Facebook's point of view, Facebook allows an awful lot of things to propagate because propagation of content is where they make their money. And this is where you get election fiddling, and this is where you get some really ugly things that have been allowed to continue simply because Facebook goes, oh, we should take it down, but it's getting reshared so many times.
Oh, that's it.
And so this is what we're choosing between. We're not choosing between our rights as people and the government monitoring. We're choosing between Facebook monitoring or the government monitoring. And out of those two choices, I'd rather the government come in because right now we've already seen what happens when Facebook's allowed to run riot because Facebook's aims are different. Their aim is to make money.
I mean,
and
I
they should
agree.
Give some of
I
it. We
just
should
don't
let them find
trust. I don't trust anyone, and so I don't think that I would be comfortable with anyone monitoring at all. But
Facebook
I know that
is
it
currently
needs
monitoring
to. I'm fully aware, but
YouTube
is
is monitoring this.
Yeah, I'm fucking. That's. I feel bad for YouTube really at that point if they're monitoring this.
And actually, now after Article 13 passed in the EU. You know, there's all sorts of... I mean, that just came into play, the new copyright laws.
Yes, that was also covered in last episode show, because it was last week's.
Good for you. Finger on the pulse.
Oh, that's it. It's all about a week's news, so we can't go into Article 13, because that was the week before.
It's done. It's over.
Already solved. No fault divorce has been introduced. Good thing, bad
that's
thing.
That's good.
Good thing.
You said only in the first 6 months, though.
It's been introduced. Minimum of 6 month time frame to be introduced to enable couples to reflect on their decisions and also to abolish the ability of to contest a divorce. So it's want a divorce 6 months after we still want a divorce. You get a divorce.
Yeah,
Done.
Fine.
Instead of it's something like 5 years now in some cases to have a divorce.
What this is in contrast to, and this is why it's called no fault divorce. At the moment in the UK, if you want to get divorced, somebody has to take the blame for the breakdown of that relationship, and there are certain categories in which that blame can come under, like someone had an affair, or you were abusive to me. At the moment, you can't just go, you know what, we tried it didn't work. Let's agree to walk away. And you can't do that right now. And that's what's making divorce so much more acrimonious and difficult as a process, is the fact that somebody actually has to put their hand up and go, it was my fault. And you don't need that. If there's children, if there's property, if there's so many, these are two people who are going through a very difficult emotional situation where they've agreed to separate what was once one unit. You don't need to then add to that, all right, who's going to be the bigger person and put their hand up and say it was me. Now, sometimes it is clear cut. Sometimes there is an affair, sometimes, but there shouldn't have to be, because we're not in a society anymore where we need that marriage unit to work in order for, that's not the core of the way that we, of our community the way it used to be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Right. We're coming to the end of this. So do we have anything to plug?
Me. Can I plug
you.
me?
Yep.
Hi, I'm Ria Lina. I'm also on the YouTube and the Twitter and the Facebook and the Instagram. I'm a social media whore. If you type my name in on any of them, you'll find me.
We'll have all of the stuff at the bottom of the video. Yourself?
I'm Faye. I have my podcast to plug. It's not out yet, so very little point, but it's called The Drunkspiracy Tapes. It's a light take on conspiracy theories. Ashley's in it. It's funny.
Yes.
It's not out. Yeah, that's all I have.
Wonderful. Final piece of news. Chris Evans, the actor, is setting up a political website. Claim it to be bias-free, but that's impossible. Ofcom has launched an investigation into Jon Snow for pointing out that there were white people in England. That's another thing. He's also we've also got China. I've already mentioned the China thing in this bit. throwing away too many eggs. Stop throwing away all the eggs. Best before date. They go on after. Put them in some water. See if they're fine. UK schools are shit. You've got
that's this week's news.
That is this
Did we
week's
cover
news.
that last week?
We've got UK schools challenging foreign governments to pay for language lessons because we're awful people. Also on schools, more than 1,000 English schools have turned to online donations because we do not care about children. Freedom of Information request by Citizens UK has found that the Home Office is making £2 million a month profit from charging children for citizenship because we do not like children. It's World Homeopathy Awareness Week, and that's made up. And you've got the Chinese sperm extractor robot and Owen Patterson, MP for North Shropshire, has allegedly been lobbying illegally, and so hopefully he gets fucked. But he won't do because it's impossible to get rid of MPs. I'd like to thank my guests, Faye Daniels and Ria Lina. Done.
For the second time.